If you weren't aware, I'm currently planning to do a giveaway for the Express Supply Pass and for one nameless Honor the Battle Pass in Honkai Star Rail, but I want to reach the goal of 1000 subscribers for my YouTube channel, so definitely subscribe to the channel if you want to win one of those items for your account. I'm doing that live on stream on the release day of Kafka, so we only have a little less than 7 days until the release of Kafka, and if we reach 1000 subscriber mark, I will do the stream and give away those 2 items live on stream. Also, definitely make sure to take a look at my YouTube short section. I'll post a video there every day. I also announced the giveaway there already. I will do to continue this in the following week. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys on stream on the release of Kafka. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the topic of today's video. I am talking about the top 5 best unit in the game. So what is up, guys? My name is Ray. Welcome to another Honkai Star Rail video. Yeah, basically I want to talk about the top 5 best units in the game that are, in my personal opinion, the best units in the game. I'll try to make it as objectively as possible, even though it's still my subjective opinion. So if you guys have another opinion, let me know in the comments. If you guys have another opinion on, no, I think this character is number 4, or why didn't you include this character in your top 5, definitely let me know. I think everybody can have a different opinion, but this is my opinion or my take on that top 5 best units in the game topic. Now, this is 1 week before the release of Kafka, so Kafka won't be in that top 5 list. I do think that she won't be able to get in the top 5 list, even though I would like her to be there, but I think that she won't have a chance. But if Fushuan and Embittered Lune release, they could change it, but I think I will wait a little longer until I update that list. And yeah, if there are significant changes in the top 5, I'll definitely update it. Let me know what you guys think about this topic. Now, let's start off with the honorable mention for this. My honorable mention is Japard. He didn't make it into the top 5, even though I think he is an excellent unit, but the main thing on him is currently I think he is the only tank right now in the game. I'm currently, as always, using Pradman.gg. Very good website, I can recommend it. So the link is in the description of literally every of my videos. I use that website a lot because they only work with official information. They update very regularly, which I do really like. Yeah, so let's get back into Gepard. 5-star ice preservation character. I think you guys already know. We have possible team builds. He's basically the tank, and I think I want to talk about especially about this part in this video on every character, because I usually don't go over this. And pros about this character: he has colossal shield set, cover all allies, great energy economy, good skill point generator, and potential CC bot if you build into it. So I think these are all really valuable skills that no other character currently has, besides maybe the Fire Trailblazer, but I think he doesn't do it that good like Japard, and I think these are very, very valuable attributes that a unit currently can have as a tank. Of course, tanks don't have as much of a value as healers currently, which why I think that there are units that are currently a little better than Japard. So it was very hard to decide for the top 5 characters, but I think that Japard didn't make it. So if I would do a top 10, then I think I would place Japard in number 6. And yeah, about his cons, he completely uses talent, and a major trace is wasted attempting to fix it. Shields are complete overkill for overworld content. Yeah, I think that we can pretty much live with that. I mean, yeah, his Japard has higher chance to be attacked by enemies is okay. We have unyielding will is triggered. Japard's energy will be restored to 100. Also okay-ish. Japard's attack increased by 35% of his current defense. This effect will refresh at the start of each turn. I think this is also still okay, but we're talking about the technique. No, what was it? Useless talent. Yeah. When struck with a killing blow, instead of becoming incapacitated, Japard's HP immediately restores 25 of his max HP. This effect can only trigger once per battle. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say that it is completely useless, but I still think it has some kind of value. So they're talking specifically. So the major trace is wasted attempting to fix it. So they mainly think that this is the thing that is not good, because it's a defensive character. You don't really need to increase his attack, but I think it's still a nice feature, because I think every damage matters, even though he is not supposed to do damage. But still, though, I think that we really can live with this cons, and yeah. Okay, let's go into the top 5 now. He's the only honorable mention, I think. I wouldn't mention any other characters in my honorable mention section. So coming in at number 5, my number 5 character is the current edition, and that is Blade. I do think Blade is the 5th best character currently in the game, just because of the fact that he works from turn 1, and his only real flaw is that he uses HP, and that's why he can die. So as you can see, he consumes 10% HP with his auto attack. He consumes 30% HP with his elemental skill. He consumes 50% HP. Okay, he doesn't consume 50%, but he sets his HP to 50% of his max HP. And yeah, I think this is kind of... It's not a problem, because what a very good thing about Blade is that he is a skill point neutral character. So he is not skill point negative, but he's also not skill point positive, which most of the DPS characters aren't. But the good thing on Blade, in my opinion, is that he works from turn 1. He doesn't have any real issues by a setup or something. You just basically use his E, then you can start using his basic attacks, which will do a lot of damage. The disadvantage here is they don't generate any skill points, but the trade-off of using 30% of his max HP and using the skill will give you a setup basically for 3 turns, and after 3 turns you just can use it again. And during those 3 turns, you only really need to regenerate basically 1 skill point to use this skill again. Another thing is, this skill does not regenerate energy, which is also a slight disadvantage. So basically his ultimate skill is a bit expensive with 130 energy, because he only gets his energy by other units or by being attacking with the auto attack. So it's of course a bit slower compared to other units, but I think it's completely fair, because the setup of E and auto attack is still very insanely good. He can get a little bit back of his HP, but I think it's not that relevant, because you will use a healer anyway in his team combinations. And besides that, I really think that Blade is an insanely good unit. Okay, so let's talk about what Pridewind says about him. So he's excellent and self-sustaining. Yeah, I think that's kind of true, though, even though it's a bit complicated with his HP scaling means massive HP values for an overall damage gain. This is also really good because he's a little bit tanky. Excellent damage output in all scenarios. Can confirm that. Very low skill point consumption. This is what I already mentioned. Not very ultimate reliant. Okay, this is what I didn't mention, because I said that it is a little bit harder to get his ultimate skill. But yeah, he doesn't really rely on his ultimate, because the setup is so good. You only use E, and then you can basically just use auto attack, which is a very, very good thing. Absolute powerhouse in the late game. Yeah, I also can confirm that. This is, I think, the more interesting part. His cons. His best teammates are mostly limited characters. Yeah. What do they mean by that? His best teammates are basically Bronya and Loocha, and basically Silverwolf, or like a tank on this spot. So, and these are all 5-star characters. That's what I mean by that. While he can heal himself decently well, you need to pair a strong healer with him to keep him alive at all times. So this is also the problem that I already mentioned. I think he has good damage from turn 1. This is unconditionally, but he will die if you don't put a healer in his team. Even though he can heal himself decently well, it is not enough. And that is what I was meant by that. You definitely need a healer, because without the healer, he will still die. Requires a lot of investment for safety. This is definitely a disadvantage, but I think a DPS with such a ceiling in damage doesn't need that investment to work. Does not benefit from outside attack increases due to HP scaling, which limits the harmony units that can support him. So that is basically referred especially to Tingyan because he's buffs attack. But I think this doesn't affect Bronya too much, even though Bronya does have an attack buff, but she mainly does increase crit damage and damage buffs, and that's why you only really want to have Bronya, while Tingyan is not that efficient compared to Bronya, while Tingyan is more efficient, while Tingyan is mostly as efficient as Bronya, well, she at least can compete with that unit if you use another DPS. But in that case, I really think you want to have Bronya, and the gap between using Bronya and Tingyan for this team is like very big, and that's why you do need her. Yeah, coming in at number 4. Number 4, in my opinion, is Silverwolf. Nihility Quantum character. I think she's a very excellent unit, honestly. I talked about Silverwolf in one of my videos because I was really thinking about summoning this character. I think Silverwolf could be I actually think that Silverwolf could have been number 1 on this list when this was her best skill to happen, because this was the only reason why I would have wanted to summon for Silverwolf, because she can add weaknesses to the enemies. But after seeing Silverwolf for quite some time, I noticed that this is not the main thing about this character, or this is also not the thing that makes that character really good. The good thing is that she can stack multiple debuffs on the enemy. She can decrease defense, she can reduce the attack, so she can reduce the speed. So basically she has multiple layers of debuffing the enemies, not only by damage. That's why I think she's really good. But the disadvantage is that the one weakness that is applied is kind of random, though. Of course you can trick into it by using a mono team, but currently I think that it is not really possible to use mono teams effectively. Maybe it will be for Quantum as Fushuan releases, and then maybe I'll change my mind about Silverwolf, but I think not really, because that doesn't open different team combinations, which I think is a very important thing in this game. You want to be able to use different team combinations on the content that you're playing, and that is a very important thing overall in the game. You don't have that one team that you can use to clear any content, but you want to have multiple teams. You want to switch between your DPS characters, see what weakness the enemy has, and that's why you want to use those characters. And yeah, Silverwolf really helps with that, because she can, as I said already, apply a weakness that the enemy doesn't have, but it is more RNG layered. The real good thing is that she has like multiple debuffs that really allows her DPS to shine. And that's why I still think that Silverwolf is an insanely good character, but she isn't there for the reason I wanted her to be, and that was the weakness application. But still, after her release, I have to say she's very, very insanely good. And yeah, let's see what Pridewind did say about her. Ridiculous buffs that can usually amplify damage, what I just said. Tons of breaking. Okay, this is something that I did mention, but this is also very, very important, that she is a character that can break weaknesses. Rare debuffs to enemy attack and speed. I already mentioned that. Can give enemies new weaknesses. This is, I think, a very nice side effect, but as I said, not her main focus. Enables single type teams, single mono team, which I already mentioned. Unlike to get power creeped anytime soon. Yeah, this is also very important. I think that only because she is number 4 now doesn't mean that she has to be number 4 in a couple of months. In a couple of months, she could be number 3, number 2, even number 1, though. It's not unrealistic that she gets higher in this top 5 list, but I think she won't get out there anytime soon. I think she has a very consistent place here. But currently, in my opinion, she's my number 4. Cons? Potentially skill point hungry if unlucky. Yeah, I can confirm that. So because you have some RNG layers here on her skills, and here also also placing these bugs is kind of RNG related. Requires investment for improved consistency. I think this is true for a lot of 5-star characters, especially now in the later stages of the game. That's why I think that's not really a con for me. And since we don't have enough characters for our mono quantum team, you will have to constantly juggle your teams in MOC to make sure to use her. Yeah, I think this is also, I mean, this is a con that can be deleted in a couple of months as we have some quantum characters. I think only the Reese of Fushuan also already changes that. We also get Lynx, which is also a quantum character that is a 4-star one. So I only think the real con about her is potentially skill point hungry if unlucky. That's the only thing that I have to complain. I think we can literally ignore these. Yeah, that's about Silver Wolf. Let's get into number 3. This is my favorite character, Bronya. This is not a biased opinion, actually. As I said, I tried to make that as objective as possible, even though I have my own opinion. But I think Bronya is the character to be in at number 3. The reason why I put Bronya over Silver Wolf is because I currently think that she is the more flexible character, and not only that, she doesn't have to rely on her skills to hit, because she has a 100% action rate. Because as a Harmony character, you're aiming to focus on buffing your DPS character, while as a Nihility character, you're focusing on to debuffing the enemy. And debuffing the enemy means that your skills have to hit. Some enemies have a certain effect resistance rate, and you have to get through that to apply your debuffs on them, because you're not guaranteed to hit them if you don't have enough effect hit rate. But for a Harmony character, you don't have those disadvantages. You don't have to focus on effect hit rate in stats building, on the enemy effect resistance. You only have to focus on your DPS character to boost his stats higher so that he can attack the enemy. And that is the case for Bronya. So I think Bronya is really cool because she's very straightforward. You have in damage increase buff, very straightforward, and crit damage buff, and also as a nice side effect an attack damage buff, which is not that good for Blade, as we already said. And besides that, everything is like really cool about Bronya. She can advance action forward. She increases more attack with her technique. She even does increase defense a little bit, which I don't think is that relevant, but it's kind of nice side effect. So yeah, overall a very straightforward character that can amplify the damage of any DPS, and I think nobody does it better than her currently. Now, pros: absurd offensive buff. So as you can see here, 72% increased damage buff. This is so good. Likely the best character you can get. As I said, likely the best. That's why she is in at number 3. Lots of flexibility due to the turn advance of her skill, and can happily ignore crit rate. Yeah, this is also really good because her auto attack always crits. Not as impactful early on, since she's ultimately an enabler for other damage dealers, and good luck getting her. So basically, she has no cons if we're looking, because not impactful early. I don't think that this is very relevant, because as you're focusing on playing the game, you will get into the later stages anyway. So you can literally ignore this, and good luck on getting her. I mean, yeah, this is really a con. You're not guaranteed to get her in any way, but you have to be lucky on the standard banner, or lose a 50-50 and get her. That's the only way to get Bronya. Or you have 300 pulls in the standard banner, then you can choose her. But yeah, besides that, I think there's no real con about this character. Now it gets interesting. Top 2 characters. This was a very hot decision, but I made it that I think Locha is number 2 for me. It was very hard. Let's talk about Locha first. So the reason why I did put Locha here is I think that he is a character that can do a lot of things. He's not the best in what he's doing in those, but he has like multiple categories, so he can multiple things at the same time, which I value in a character more. I mean, Bronya only does one thing. She basically amplifies the damage of your character. Of course, she can cleanse. She gives a little bit of defense, but it's not that impactful. So mainly, she only does really amplify damage, and she's really good in that. But she's like really, really good in that. And that's the reason why she's number 3. But I value Luocha a little bit higher than that, and that's why I said I wanted to look at this as objectively as possible, because Luocha has different functions. So let's just talk about his E. His E is his worst skill. It's in heal if you need it, but you don't really need it. So it's only like in really worse situations. But as I honestly have to say, I never use his E in combat because I don't think that it is necessary. Then removes one buff from allies. This is about his ultimate skill. Removes one buff from allies. Imagine it does deal 260% of Luocha's attack, and literally everything on Luocha scales on attack. So this will do quite decent amount of damage. Of course, it doesn't do damage as much as any DPS related characters, any erudition, destruction, or hunt character, but it does a little bit of damage, which you know how many character currently can do. Then he gains 1 stack of Abyss Flower, and yeah. After the technique is used, he immediately triggered at the start of the next battle his talent, which is this one. And this is the skill that makes this Luocha so insanely good. So when Abyss Flower reaches 2 stacks, Luocha consumes all stacks of the Abyss Flower, and you get an when any enemy on the field is attacked by an ally, the attacking ally's HP is immediately restored by an amount equal to 90.2% of Luocha's attack plus 267. The fields last for 2 turns. When Luocha is knocked down, the field will dispel. So basically, you have a constant heal on the field. This one is really, really good because this is passively. The good thing is this is passively. Natasha, Bailu, or pretty much the other healers in the game, and they do need to use their skills. Luocha only has used his ultimate, and besides the other turns, you just use his auto attack. You can start the battle right away with this technique, so you can apply this cycle of life from turn 1 already. There's no condition at all. So basically, you can start off with this, and as soon as this expires, in that time, you could build the second round for this. And this without using any skill points. And I think this is one of the most important things that differs Luocha so much from all other characters in the game, not only the healers Natasha and Bailu. He is a skill point positive character, because I would say I never use skill points with Luocha. Never. I only use his ultimate skill and his auto attack, and that's the only thing that I use. I never was a need to use his elemental skill, even though we have it as a plan B or plan C, and that is really good. Besides that, so this is like the thing that makes him so insanely good. Besides that, of course, his healing is not as good as the one from Bailu, but it is more than enough. Bailu, I think, even overheals sometimes, and Luocha really heals enough. I don't have any good relics on him, but I maxed all his traces, and that is enough to keep my team alive in any type of fight. Next thing, his traces are really good, I think. When the skill is triggered, it removes 1 debuff. So he basically has a cleanse also in his kit without using a skill point again. Because if you only have to trigger the effect. And that's why I think it's really clear that you can do it even without a skill point again. Then, when any enemy in the field is attacked by an ally, all allies restore HP equal to 7%. So another way to regenerate HP. And this one is what I also do really like, because it kind of makes him to attack. Not really. He's not a preservation character on Eidolon 0. But this one makes him a little bit of a tank. He is resistant to card control. This is not equal to effect resistance, so he doesn't resist everything, but he can resist card control to an amount of 70%, and I think this is very, very good. Okay, let's see what they tell about him. Excellent healing output that is easy to maintain. As I already said, AoE Dispel on his ultimate, so his ultimate does AoE damage, which is very good for a Harmony character. Contributes meaningful toughness damage. Okay, I didn't mention that, but this is also very, very good. That makes that character very high in value, because he can do, as I said, he can do more than just heal. He can do meaningful toughness damage. Virtually immune to card control. That's the last thing that I just mentioned. Fantastic base stats. Also really good that he scales on attack, so that's why he get damage, and unlikely to get power creeped anytime soon. So same thing for Silverwolf. I also don't think that, I cannot really imagine that there is a healer that is as good as Loja, even though, because usually healers are there to heal, but Loja is a character that can do so much more than just that, being so much efficient. Yeah. So yeah, value is lower in the early game, doesn't have an on-demand panic heal. Talent is only useful if the team can attack in time. Attack scaling means he will be less durable than the other two healers. Yeah, I think this is out of competition. Doesn't have an on-demand panic heal. Yeah, I think this is sometimes you would like to think that he doesn't have that. Makes him a little worse, but I honestly have to say I never really needed that. Even though in theory you do think that sometimes you need that panic heal button, like Natasha and Bailu just press the alt if your team is low. But I honestly have to say I didn't really need it. I didn't really miss that. 10 is only useful if the team can attack in time. Yeah, I mean, I get that, but it's like whatever. And attack scaling means he will be less durable. Yeah, this is true, but I focused on defensive stats on his substats in the relics. So you have to have offensive stats in the main set, so because he scales on attack, but I think you can really even that out with your subsets, like by putting in defensive stats like effect resistance, HP, percentage, HP flat, defense. These are really good stats, I think, for him. Yeah. Now, finally, talking about number one, and that is Sealy. I think Sealy is the best unit in the game still, even with Loja out. It was hard to debate because I think that Loja is a unit that is so good, that is so flexible. But just right now, I think that Sealy has like a little bit more of this brokenness level. I really think that Loja and Sealy are like the two most broken characters in the game. Loja more because of his flexibility, of his different usages. And Sealy is really good for what she is doing. She only can do one thing, but I think she does it really, really well. And my what is the most important thing for me was this. Enters the buff state upon defeating enemy with basic attack skill or ultimate and receives an extra turn. I think this is the thing. I mean, for DPS, I think it is very easy to say. She increases her speed and does damage. This is insanely good. She does a very good amount of damage. She increases her speed. This one does an insanely amount of damage. And all the other things that counts into her kit increases her damage, which is already really good. But I think this is the one thing that really makes it so overly broken for me. She enters the buff state upon defeating an enemy. So if you defeat an enemy, she gets extra damage, and you get one more turn without counting in one more turn. So she basically, I mentioned that I think a couple of times already, she basically does AoE damage without doing AoE damage, because of course you lose your real life time, but in game time you don't lose a turn. And that is so valuable for this character. You can literally kill everything in one turn. If you build that character insanely well, she literally can kill every enemy in the turn without using a turn, and then you get into the next rotation of enemies, and then you can just kill them again. That's insanely good. So let's go over the pros. Highest unconditional single target damage potential in the game. Already said that. Works astonishingly well in AoE scenarios due to the nature of her kit, making her rare universal DPS. As I said, she doesn't do AoE damage flat, but because she doesn't use any turns, you can kill every enemy without using up a turn. Quantum resistance pen allows her to be used effectively even outside of quantum weakness force. Yeah, I also didn't mention that you can even use her if the enemy doesn't have quantum weakness, and that's enough because that character does so insanely high damage and has so much damage value. Yeah. Cons, potentially very skill point hungry if she's too fast. Good luck pulling for her. I mean, good luck pulling for her is not a con, because when she was available, you only had to win the 50-50, and if you lose it, you have another chance. I think free to play, it was possible to get Sealy. I think every of my friends got Sealy without buying the battle pass, without buying the express supply pass, without buying any top-ups. Everyone was able to get Sealy. They did sweat a little bit more for the weapons, but I think just the raw character was able to get free to play with only the Stellar Jades that were able in the game. Yeah, I think this is the only problem. You get turns for free, but you will always have to use skill points if she has another turn. But I think this is a thing that we can really live with that. Because if she wouldn't use another skill point, then she would be by far number one. So I think it was still kind of close. Okay, guys, this is one of my longest video ever, but I'd like to discuss that top 5. I hope you guys did enjoy that. I did discuss about every character quite some time. Let me know what you guys do think. I will put timestamps in the description down below. And I see you guys next time. Bye.